Alright, so today we're going to talk about a book called Die with Zero. Now, this is one of those books that I think every single person should read in their lifetime, because it talks about how to live your life and how to actually find meaning in your life. So, the book was written by Bill Perkins, who's an interesting guy. He's an entrepreneur, an investor, and at the age of 43, he discovered he had a rare disease called pulmonary fibrosis, which meant that his lungs were getting filled with scar tissue, and his life expectancy was 2 years. But through alternative medicine and just a whole bunch of effort, he extended that life to 6 years. And now, 16 years later, he is still alive. So clearly, the methods he used to extend his life worked. And while reading this book, you can tell that this guy has lived quite an interesting life. He's done lots of crazy things, from skydiving to space travel to all kinds of stuff. He's like an actual real-life Tony Stark. And so, he uses these examples in the book to teach you how to live your life to the fullest. The book is split up into 3 parts. The first 20, Die with Zero and Epilogue. Part 1 is titled, The First 20. It covers chapters 1 to 7 and explains how our lives are affected by biology. And what he means by biology are our brains. Our brains are basically programmed for survival. He says that we have evolved to preserve our genes and protect ourselves from threats. Because of this, there are certain brain functions that are automatic. For example, anytime we see something scary, our brain will automatically trigger fight or flight. We don't consciously think about running away or fighting back. It just happens. This is why, if you wanted to go skydiving, you would need someone else to convince you to do it, because your brain is going to be telling you to not jump out of a plane. Now, once we start earning money, the same thing happens. As soon as we see a threat to our financial security, we will try to save more money. Like right now, for example, everyone is talking about how the economy is terrible and inflation is high. So our brain is telling us to save more money, to cut back on expenses, etc. But the problem is that we don't have control over this instinct. This is why most people don't become entrepreneurs. If you earn $100,000 a year and then you decide to quit your job and do something else, well, your brain is going to freak out because it sees that you might lose your job, which means you're threatened financially. So it's going to try to convince you to not take that risk. This is also why saving and investing money is seen as a moral duty. People say, oh, you should save 10 to 20% of your income. You need to invest for retirement. Don't waste your money. But what they're really saying is that you should do whatever you can to keep your brain happy. Our brain doesn't want you to take risks. It wants you to play it safe. And if you look at our entire economic system, everything is designed to keep your brain happy. Banks pay you interest to keep your money there. Employers will offer you promotions and raises to make you feel more secure. Chapter 4 is probably the most important chapter in the book. In it, Bill introduces this idea called headroom. Essentially, this is the amount of time, energy, and money that you have left to live. Think about it. When we're young, we have a lot of energy, so we have a lot of headroom. However, as we get older, we start losing that energy. We get tired after walking up the stairs. Going out with friends becomes more difficult. We sleep more. So as we age, our physical headroom is slowly being taken away. But we also have mental headroom, which refers to the amount of stress we can handle. For example, if you're in a toxic relationship, that's going to eat away at your mental headroom. Or let's say you're working a stressful job. That's going to eat away at your mental headroom. Your brain is always trying to keep you safe. So when it sees that you're getting close to rock bottom, it's going to tell you to calm down, relax, and chill out. This is why most people wait until they're very old to travel or start a new business. They think they need to play it safe, but they don't realize that they're just letting their brain dictate their actions. In part 2, the author teaches us how to overcome our biology. He introduces this idea called DIE, which stands for defy, indulge, and experience. Most of us don't die with zero, but rather with tons of regrets. Like imagine you're 80 years old and you're lying in your deathbed. What kind of thoughts are you going to have? What kind of regrets are you going to feel? Chances are you're going to wish that you had traveled more, spent more time with family, took more risks, followed your dreams, etc. Yet, most of us spend our entire lives postponing these things because we listen to our brain. We want to save money for retirement. We want to be financially secure. But if you look at the average retiree, they're not exactly doing the things they wanted to do. Sure, maybe they're traveling a bit, but chances are they're not doing anything too crazy. They're not starting a new business or learning how to play the guitar. All they want to do is relax and enjoy life. And the reason for that is that they spent their entire lives listening to their brain, pushing things off, postponing things, and then eventually, they finally got to retirement. They thought they could finally do whatever they want, but then it was already too late. They didn't have the health, the energy, or even the desire to do these things. So instead of postponing these things, the author argues that we should do them immediately. Defy what your brain is telling you to do, indulge in the things that you want, and experience as much as possible. It's better to die with 0 regrets than to die with tons of them. Now, in part 3, the author goes over how to maximize your headroom. One way to do this is by taking care of your health. This means eating healthy food, exercising, and avoiding bad habits like smoking or drinking too much alcohol. Another way is by surrounding yourself with good people. And this makes sense because if you have negative people in your life who are bringing you down, well, that's going to eat away at your mental headroom. So you want to make sure that you surround yourself with people who make you feel good, who push you forward, and who bring positivity into your life. Third, you want to find a sense of purpose. Bill says that the key to living longer is having a reason to wake up in the morning. If you're someone who has no purpose, no goals, no dreams, you're probably going to die sooner than someone who does. And so, you want to find something that gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. Finally, you want to challenge yourself. We were meant to grow and evolve. This is why when we stop challenging ourselves, we start to stagnate and we start dying inside. So you always want to be looking for ways to grow, to learn, to evolve, and to become a better version of yourself. Now, overall, I highly recommend you pick up this book. It's super easy to read and it's life-changing. It really helped me put things into perspective, and it made me realize that I'm wasting so much of my life just listening to my brain. The biggest takeaway from the book is that you shouldn't worry too much about the future. Yes, you should save some money for the future, but you don't need to stockpile a bunch of cash. Live in the present moment. Take risks, take chances, and do things that make you happy. Now, before I end this video, I want to ask you a question. What's the one thing that you've been wanting to do for the longest time? Maybe it's traveling to Europe, or learning how to speak Spanish, or starting a business. Whatever it is, write it down in the comments below. I want to see what your biggest dream is. Now, with that said, you guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next video.